Chosen one, don't move, don't scroll, don't touch that screen. What you are about to hear in the next 30 minutes has the power to change the entire direction of your life. And I need you to understand something before we go 1 second further. You did not find this video. This video found you, at this exact moment, on this exact day. Out of every piece of content on the entire internet, something brought you here. And that something was not an algorithm. That something was not chance. That something was God. He knows your name. He knows what you have been carrying. He knows the prayers you stopped praying out loud because you got tired of hearing your own voice ask for the same thing. He knows the tears you cried where nobody could see you. He knows the nights you lay awake wondering if any of it, if you were ever going to amount to something. And he sent you here today because he has an answer, not a general answer, a specific one for you. So I am asking you, do not leave, because what I am about to tell you is something most people go their entire lives without ever hearing, and you were chosen to hear it today. Today I want to speak directly to you, the person who has felt different their entire life, the person who has carried a weight that others couldn't see, fought battles that nobody else seemed to understand, and quietly wondered in the still of the night whether any of it meant something, whether they meant something. This message is for the ones who are on the edge of something extraordinary but can't quite see it yet, for the ones who have been passed over, pushed aside, overlooked, and underestimated, for the ones who have walked through seasons of silence so long they started to mistake the quiet for abandonment. Because here is what I know to be true, and I need you to let this land somewhere deep inside of you. The silence was not punishment, it was preparation, and this moment right now is the beginning of your elevation. There are certain people in this world who are marked, not by anything visible, not by wealth or title or status, marked by something unseen, something written before they were even born. And if you have always felt like you were different, not broken, not strange, but different, as though you were operating on an anointing that most people around you simply couldn't recognize, then there is a reason for that. You were created with a specific assignment on your life, not a general one, a specific one. The path you are walking was not built for everyone, which is precisely why so few people have been able to walk it with you. The road God places chosen people on is rarely wide. It is rarely crowded. It is narrow, steep, and lined with lessons that the masses never encounter. That has never been a sign that you were forsaken. It has always been a sign that you were set apart. Think about your life for a moment. Not the surface of it, not what your days look like from the outside, but the deep currents running underneath. Think about the things you have survived, the moments that would have swallowed other people whole but somehow left you standing. There is a pattern there, a divine fingerprint pressed into every single one of those moments. Because people who are chosen don't just get blessings. They get tested first, deeply, quietly, completely. The testing is not random. Every trial you have walked through has been calibrating something in you, strengthening a muscle, deepening a root, burning away something that would have become a liability at the level you are. Being elevated to. What felt like destruction was actually refinement. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. And what felt like the end was actually the turning point. I want you to hear this and receive it not as flattery, but as truth. You are rare, not in the way that is thrown around carelessly, rare in the way that matters. The combination of what you have endured, what you have learned, what you carry, and who you are becoming, that combination exists nowhere else on this earth. There is no duplicate, no copy, no replacement. You are an original in a world full of imitations, and the enemy of your soul knows it, which is exactly why your path has been so consistently opposed. But here is where it shifts, and I need you to feel this shift happening right now. Everything that was meant to stop you has instead been building you. Every attack, every setback, every whisper that said you were too old, too broken, too ordinary, too far behind, every single one of those voices has been lying. Because you cannot stop what God has already ordained. You cannot derail a destiny that was written in eternity. And you cannot defeat someone who has already been chosen for victory. I want to slow down here, because before we go any further, I need to honor something. I need to honor the weight of what you have carried. There are people watching this right now who have been lonely in ways that are almost impossible to explain. Not just physically alone, but alone in the truest sense, standing in a room full of people and feeling completely invisible. having love all around you but struggling to feel it reach you, smiling on the outside while something deep within quietly ached for someone to finally see them, not the version they show the world, but the real one, the tender one, the weary one. Some of you have given everything: your time, your resources, your loyalty, your heart to people who took what you offered and left, who made you feel like your generosity was weakness, who confused your patience for foolishness. And in the aftermath of those betrayals, a voice began to whisper, a quiet, persistent, insidious voice. It said, maybe you are the problem. Maybe you expect too much. Maybe you are simply not the kind of person that people stay for. That voice was lying. But I understand why you believed it, even a little, because pain has a way of making lies feel like wisdom. And some of you have carried spiritual battles that you could never speak aloud, seasons where you cried out and the heavens felt like iron, moments where your faith bent nearly to the point of breaking, dark nights that lasted not for hours but for months, for years, dark nights where you held on to God by a thread and wondered whether He was even holding the other end. He was. He always was. And those seasons, as devastating as they were the seasons that wrote the chapters of your testimony that will one day set other people free. You were not abandoned in the dark. You were being formed in it. The way gold is not made in sunlight. It is made in fire. Every loss that left you breathless. Every relationship that collapsed and took pieces of you with it. Every dream that seemed to die before it bloomed. None of it was wasted. Not one drop of that pain was squandered by the hands of a God who wastes nothing. Every wound is being woven into something you cannot yet see clearly, but it is magnificent, and it is yours. Now I want to show you something about the spirit that God placed in you, because there is something happening inside you. Something that has been growing through every hard season, every sleepless night, every moment you chose to keep going when everything in you wanted to stop. I want to give it a name so you can recognize it when you feel it. I call it your divine anointing, and it is not something you manufacture. It is something God deposits in people He has specifically chosen for a purpose that is larger than their own comfort. It is the thing that makes certain people walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. The thing that makes certain people speak and every word carries weight that outlasts the conversation. The thing that causes doors to open without a visible hand pushing them, timing to work out in ways that defy logic, and connections to form that couldn't have been engineered by human effort alone. That is not luck. That is the anointing at work. And here is what I want you to understand: that anointing is not something you earned in a single moment. It has been building in you through every season you thought was breaking you. Every time you chose forgiveness when bitterness would have been easier, the anointing deepened. Every time you kept your integrity when compromise would have been more convenient, the anointing deepened. Every time you got back up after something flattened you to the ground. Every time you prayed when you didn't feel like it. Every time you showed up faithfully when no one was watching, the anointing deepened. And now, you carry something. Something that can't be faked, can't be bought, and cannot be manufactured. You carry the weight of an authentically transformed life. And that weight, in the spiritual realm, is power. Now stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you next is the part most people never hear. This is where it gets specific to you. This is where the pieces begin connecting in ways that will make you want to watch this again from the beginning. Don't you dare close this now. Let's talk about the people who have opposed you. The ones who whispered behind your back. The ones who worked to undermine what you were building. The ones who smiled to your face and maneuvered in the shadows. The ones who counted you out, dismissed your potential, laughed at your dreams, and quietly waited for you to fail. I want you to understand something profound about them, something that will free you from every ounce of bitterness you might still be carrying. The people who opposed you the most were not your real adversaries. They were, in a strange and sacred way, instruments used by a divine plan to sharpen you, reposition you, and ultimately protect you from paths you were never meant to walk. Here is what is happening to those people right now. Right now, as you are watching this, the very opposition that was designed to destroy you is dismantling itself. What was aimed at you is turning back. The walls built around you were not walls of confinement, they were walls of protection, keeping out what God never authorized to touch your destiny. And the people who built those walls are discovering that you cannot curse what God has blessed. You cannot stop what has been decreed in eternity. You cannot extinguish a light that heaven itself has lit. This is not about revenge. Let me be clear about that. Chosen people don't chase revenge because they don't need to. They simply step into their purpose, and the act of walking in divine alignment is itself the most powerful response to every enemy who ever doubted them. You don't need to fight the battles that God has already won on your behalf. You simply need to keep moving forward with faith, with dignity, with your eyes lifted, and watch what unfolds. And there is something happening in the spiritual realm right now that is directly connected to the opposition you have faced. The more someone works against you, the more they are actually contributing to your elevation. Every negative word spoken over you is fuel. Every attempt to diminish you is, paradoxically, an acknowledgement of what they see in you that threatens them. People do not waste energy opposing mediocrity. They don't bother attacking ordinary. The intensity of the opposition in your life is proportional to the magnitude of the destiny they are trying to prevent. Let that settle in your spirit. I want to show you something about your own nature. There is a reason that those who carry a true calling don't lose peace over the opinions of those who were never assigned to understand them. Not because they are arrogant, but because they understand who they are. And when you truly understand yours, when you truly grasp the weight of what you have been created to carry, you will stop diminishing yourself to make others comfortable. You will stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never designed for your dimensions. And you will stop apologizing for a greatness that was given to you, not invented by you. I want you to look at the evidence now, because faith is not blind, it is evidence-based. And the evidence of your divine selection is written all over your history, if you know what to look for. Think about a moment in your life when something went terribly wrong, something that at the time felt catastrophic but in retrospect led to the exact door you needed to walk through. A job lost that became the beginning of a calling. A relationship ended that made room for something deeper. A move, a loss, a disruption that rearranged your life in the direction you were always supposed to go. Can you see it? That is not coincidence. That is divine choreography. Think about the times you narrowly escaped something. A decision you almost made but didn't. A path you almost went down but something turned you around. A situation that, had it played out the way you wanted it to, would have cost you everything. How many times has God closed a door you were begging Him to open, only for you to later realize with breathtaking clarity that walking through that door would have been your undoing? That is not luck. That is protection. That is the hand of a Father who can see what you cannot yet see and loves you too much to let you walk into it. Think about the people who were placed in your life at specific moments, the stranger who said exactly what you needed to hear. The connection that appeared out of nowhere and opened an entirely new world, the mentor, the friend, the encounter that shifted the trajectory of everything. Those were not random. They were sent. You are surrounded by a network of divine appointments that you are only beginning to understand the fullness of. And perhaps the most powerful sign of all, think about the fact that you are still here, still standing, still breathing, still believing, even when belief was the hardest thing in the world to hold on to. Because there have been moments in your life that should have broken you permanently, moments that broke other people, moments that ended stories. But here you are, still in the story, still moving, still becoming. That is not by your own strength alone. That is grace carrying you when your legs gave out. That is the signature of a God who does not begin what He does not intend to finish. I need you to stay right here, because what I am about to share with you now is the part that will make everything else make sense. This is where everything you have heard today becomes something you can actually live. If there was ever a moment not to walk away, it is right now. But here is where I have to speak with great seriousness, because this next part is as important as anything else I have said, and chosen people who overlook it have watched their elevation collapse from the inside. The moment you begin to understand your divine assignment, the moment you begin to sense the shift, the favor, the open doors, the evidence of God's hand moving in your life, there is a danger that rises with it. And that danger has a name. It is pride dressed in spiritual language. It is arrogance wearing the costume of confidence. It is the subtle belief that because God is for you, you are somehow above the process, above correction, above humility, above the daily surrendering of your will to a will far greater than your own. Nothing will sabotage a divine elevation faster than a heart that has forgotten where it came from. Some of the most anointed people who ever walked this earth were not undone by their enemies, they were undone by their own ego, by the intoxication of recognition, by the moment they stopped listening and started only speaking. By the day they confused the gift for the giver and started walking as though the crown belonged to them rather than to the one who placed it. I am telling you this not to diminish what you carry, but to protect it, because the posture of a truly chosen person is not arrogance. It is wonder. It is the perpetual, overwhelming wonder of someone who knows they deserved none of this and received everything anyway. It is the quiet, grounded power of someone who has no need to announce themselves because their presence does it for them. It is the strength that comes not from a belief in your own greatness, but from an absolute trust in the greatness of the God who made you. Stay tender. In the middle of your elevation, stay tender. Stay accessible to correction. Stay close to people who loved you before any of the doors opened. Stay in the place of prayer, not just the prayer of requesting, but the prayer of listening. The prayer of sitting still before God and allowing Him to speak into the deepest parts of you. Reshaping what still needs reshaping. Softening what has grown hard. Restoring what the years have weathered. And in your elevation, remember the people who are still in the valley you came out of. The greatest use of a testimony is not to inspire, it is to give hope to someone who is standing where you once stood. You are not being raised up to be impressive. You are being raised up to be useful. And a life poured out in genuine service to others is the most magnificent expression of divine elevation this world has ever seen. So how do you maintain this? How do you live in this every single day, not just in the moments of peak inspiration, but on the ordinary Tuesday, in the middle of the mundane, in the middle of the waiting and the working and the sometimes unglamorous dailiness of a life being built by God? It starts with the first moments of your morning, before the world pours itself into you. Before the phone, before the news, before the opinions and the noise and the demands, give those first moments to silence. Not the passive silence of someone who hasn't woken up yet, but the intentional silence of someone who understands that the quality of your day is often determined by the quality of your first conversation. And the most important conversation you will have today is the one you have with God before anyone else gets your attention. Then, throughout your day, practice the discipline of speaking over yourself the things that are true rather than the things that merely feel true. Because feelings lie. The feeling of being behind, that is not truth. The feeling of being forgotten, that is not truth. The feeling that everyone else is moving forward while you are standing still, that is absolutely not truth. What is true is what has been spoken over you in eternity. What is true is what God says when He looks at you. And when you begin to anchor your identity in that truth instead of in the shifting, unreliable ground of your emotions, something remarkable happens. You become unmovable, not rigid, unmovable. There is a difference. Rigid things break. Rooted things bend in the storm and rise again, stronger and deeper than before. Guard what you allow into your mind and spirit, not with fear but with wisdom. The voices you allow to speak into your life the longest will inevitably shape what you believe about yourself. So be intentional. Feed your faith deliberately. Read the ancient words that have carried generation after generation through darkness and into light. Surround yourself with people who call out the gold in you, not just the dross, and be ruthlessly, lovingly honest with yourself about the areas where you still need to grow, because the willingness to be honest about weakness is itself a profound form of strength. And finally, and this may be the most counterintuitive thing I say today, learn to rest in the middle of the process. Not the rest of someone who has given up, the rest of someone who has given it over. There is a peace that surpasses all understanding that is available to every person who will simply release the grip of control and trust that the one who started this is faithful enough to complete it. That peace is not passive. It is the most active, powerful, faith-filled posture a human being can inhabit. It says, I believe, without seeing everything, that this is being held. I believe that nothing is lost. I believe that every piece is being placed, and I will rest in that, not because I am finished, but because I trust the one who is doing the building. So I want you to receive this, right now, not as a nice thought, not as an inspirational moment you will forget by tomorrow, as a decree, as a declaration spoken over your life with intention and with authority. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not the sum of your failures or the product of your worst days. You were chosen. You were fashioned with extraordinary precision and purpose. You were placed on this earth at this exact moment in history because there is something only you can carry, only you can say, only you can do, and nothing, not your past, not your pain, not your enemies, not your doubts, not the weight of the years you feel you have lost. Nothing can revoke what was written over you before you drew your first breath. The doors that are meant for you are already opening. The connections that are meant for you are already in motion. The breakthrough that you have been pressing toward is not further away than it has ever been. It is closer, closer than your eyes can see, closer than your logic can calculate. It is one faithful step away from where you are standing right now. Say this out loud, wherever you are. Say every word. I am chosen. I am covered. I am being elevated into everything I was created for. My latter days are greater than my former days. What was designed to destroy me has become the very thing that defines me. I walk in favor. I walk in purpose. I walk in peace, and I will not stop. I will not turn back. I will not shrink, because the one who is for me is greater than everything that has ever been against me, and I am not finished yet. Now, before you go anywhere, if this message reached you today and something inside you knows it was not by accident, I need you to do something for me right now. Type 777 in the comments below. Just that, 777, because there is someone who is going to scroll through these comments tonight at their lowest moment. And when they see that number, when they see how many people received this same message and felt what you felt, it is going to be the sign they needed to keep going. Your 3 keystrokes tonight could save someone's faith, so type it, do it now. And if this message moved something in you, if it stirred something, confirmed something, healed something, then share it. Right now, before you do anything else. Send it to the person who came to your mind while you were watching. You did not think of them by accident. God put their face in your heart because they need these words just as much as you did. Be the reason someone finds this today. And if you want more, if you are hungry for more of what God has to say about who you are, where you are going, and what He has already prepared for your future, then hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because this is only the beginning of what I have for you. Every message on this channel was made for people exactly like you, people who are chosen, people who are becoming, people who refuse to settle for a life smaller than the one God designed. You belong here. Stay close. You were guided here. You were always going to find this. And now that you have walked forward, walk boldly. Walk in the full knowledge of who you are and whose you are, because the world has been waiting long enough for you to step into everything you were made for. God bless you. Now go live like you believe it.